I'm going to join this live stream now. No, no, no. I've set it already. Thank you very much, madam. We're starting in 2 minutes. Just drop your live on the group chat you are in on. You are in. Drop your live on the group chat you are in. Drop your live on the group chat you're in. I'm feeling nervous and danger. Okay, let's start. I believe everybody can see my screen. Okay, let's start. I believe everybody can see my screen. So we are going to be just drop your live on the group chat you are in, and please like this live stream, like this stream. Then drop your live on the group chat you're in. Drop your live on the group chat you're in. This is our last fundamental news live training for the month, and we have been hitting some really good ones. So drop we are live on the group chat you're in, so others can know that we are live and they can join the live stream. Okay, let me. Okay, so I'm going to start by explaining what PPI is. Then, when I'm done explaining what PPI is, I'm going to explain how I came about the analysis. The two possibilities this news can actually do, and what I expect it to do. Okay, and what I expect it to do. So you need to understand that. Please like this live stream if you're just joining us. Like this live stream. Like this live stream. Like this live stream. Like this live stream. So first of all, what is PPI? PPI is um, producers price index, and it's basically the what they call it, the measure of inflation by measuring. Let me start typing every single thing I do, everything I'm talking about. So let me take up all these things so my screen can be less congested. And let me bring up my pocket options. Okay, so this live stream is going to last till 3 p.m. because after trading we'll still have to go over some things. Okay, explain it in depthly. The other time I talked about CPI. We have had classes on CPI, okay, and then the FOMC too. We predicted the FOMC using the CPI data. Predicted FOMC using CPI data and NFP data. We came to a very good prediction. Then I talked about PPI, but I didn't go in depth. We also had the CPI news that came out earlier this month, compensate for the missed data. So this one now that is coming out today is the one PPI is Producers Price Index. It is used to measure the change in price at which producers are selling their goods. You understand? You know, CPI is to measure the price at which consumers are paying for goods. PPI is to measure the increase in price at which producers are selling goods. So let's say, for example, I am selling. Let's say for example, I produce Samsung phones and I sell Samsung phones. Okay, and you are buying. Let's say you are the consumers here. You buy the Samsung phones from me, and the price increased from, let's say, 400,000 naira to like 450,000 naira. That change from 400,000 naira to 450,000 naira is going to show on the CPI. Do you understand? Because that's for the consumer. That's how much you get. That's the increase in the price at which you are getting the particular goods. Why PPI now is the price at which I am selling to the people that are going to supply to me. So, for example, now me as a producer, now maybe the cost of production increased because of silicon chipsets were more expensive. This with tariffs and all of those things. So I increased the price at which I'm selling to the retailers that are distributing it from, let's say, 350 to 400,000. So I increased it from 350 to 400,000. That increase in that price from 350 to 400,000 is going to show on the PPI, while your own increase is going to show on the CPI. Now, the reason why they collect for producers differently and consumers differently is this. These two data are used to measure inflation and deflation in the country. All right. Sometimes the prices of commodities can increase. All right. But due to competition, I can, as the producer, swallow this cost because I know if I increase my price, people are not going to buy my goods because there are other people that are producing cheaper. So I can bear the cost of this particular thing. Are you with me? And sometimes I can pass the cost down to the consumers. So as a result of that, now CPI and PPI are usually different. And apart from that, so we also have what we call old stocks and new stocks. If you go to what they call it every day, for example, now all the things you're seeing there, they probably bought them like 4 months ago. So basically, they'll be selling for the old price at which they bought them. Do you understand? So if they're only measuring for CPI, all right, then inflation can be lagged on some metrics because they will not be able to see the increase in the price of producers in the market because it takes like up to like 3 months or 4 months before um, new products enter into the market. Do you understand? So they have to measure for CPI separately so they can see how it is currently at the moment, and for PPI to know if there's an increase in price and all of those things. So these two things now is what they used to measure inflation in the country. So PPI news that usually comes out, we have monthly, When you see Y, it means annually. But the ones we usually you understand. So how was I able to come up with the prediction of this CPI? All of my roughs and backtesting roughs. So if you look at this now, what you're seeing here is the data for the last 10 on PPI. So I can like open my forex factory as you can see here, and then I worked with core PPI because that's the most important one. And then I checked all the January prices. The reason why I wrote that is because usually when it comes to this data, especially when it comes to January, there's usually a pattern that usually repeats itself. These patterns are usually caused by, okay, when it comes to December, lots of people coming home for Christmas, people producing more goods, it's going to increase. Like, there's a particular pattern. For example, now in Nigeria, we all know that during Christmas, eh, we all know that during Christmas, we know that during Christmas, prices of goods used to increase. Is there anybody here that doesn't know that during Christmas, price of goods used to increase? Apart from price of goods, what else increases during Christmas? Um, Fuel also becomes very scarce. That is a pattern that always repeats itself every Christmas. Now, I don't stay in the United States, so I don't know the particular ones that repeat themselves in the United States. Going back to see in time, and I can be able to find the correlation between the changes of these prices every single January. And when I looked at all this, now one thing I noticed is that because the two data we need, the important ones are the forecast and the actual. All right, the forecast and the actual. Those are the two data we need. So one thing I notice now is that the correlation between the forecast and the actual is this. In the past 10 years, all right, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times, 7 out of the 10 years, 7 out of the 10 data I looked at, all right, the actual result was lower than the forecasted result 7 out of the 10 times in the past. And the remaining 3 times, the actual one, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Okay, yeah, the last, yeah, 7 out of the 10 results, the actual was lower than the, all right, then the remaining three times, the actual was equal to the forecasted, which was lower than the previous. So if we are going with data, normally if the actual is equal to the forecast, the market will not move, it's just be flat, right? But if the actual is lower than the forecast, it's going to sell. USG are going to sell. And out of the 10 data I looked at, 7 out of them, 70%, all right, showed actual being lower than the forecast. By this now, I have a 70% chance of the actual being lower than the forecast. Forex probability. So if I had traded all this news for the past 10 years, I would have won 7 out of 10 of them. That's a very good thing. And then when it comes to probability, if you have a 70% chance of it being lower, that's a very good chance. Then the remaining 3 times that was not actually lower, we had it being equal. And then when it's actually equal, the market doesn't move. So I'm going with what I saw. So actual will be equal to, will be lower. JPY cells. So we are going to be entering our trade very soon. We're entering our trade 30 seconds to the news. If you want to enter it on USGPY, normally, let's say you're not in PT Academy, I want to enter it in normal trade, you can use 10 pip stop loss, 45 seconds to the news. Remember, we're entering sales on USGPY. All right. You can enter your sales now. Have you entered your sale? The market not sell, the market bought. Let's check why the market. Let's see the data, the actual data that came out. They are both higher than forecast. So we got our prediction wrong. We got our prediction wrong. We predicted forecast, but the actual was higher. The actual came out higher than the forecast. So let's try to see if we can. This is the first time in 10 years that this is happening. It's either is usually equal to forecast or lower than forecast. 100%, 1, 2, 3, 10 datas for the last 10 years equal or lower. I'm coming. So if USGPY, if the forecast on USGPY, if forecast was higher than, if actual rather, if actual was higher than forecast, USGPY would have bought. We predicted actual lower than forecast, and as that would have made USGPY. So Yeah, it's so high. It's like 0.7. 0.7. PPI and core PPI are both higher than forecast. So that's basically we got this prediction, this particular one wrong. Let's just go to the backtesting part so we can see together. You can see together. So here you can see 0.00%. Focus was 0.2%. All right. Let's go to again. Let's go to January 18th. 0.1 and 0.1, that's equal. Then go to January 2022, 0.5, 0.5 equal. If you go to January 2021, 0.1, 0.1 equal. If you go to January 2020, 0.2, 0.1 lower. Then if you go to January 2019, 0.2 and minus 0.1. From 0.2 to minus 0.2, minus 0.1. So it's lower. So you can go and check it yourself, you'll see. So I don't know why this one was higher, but it may have something to do with tariffs. It may have something to do with tariffs and the US government shutdown. I don't know. But this is the first time he broke this pattern in 10 years. So forex trading is basically um is probability, and the market has behavioral patterns that repeats. Like I said, for example, now during Christmas, we all know that things get higher. That's why our mothers used to like buying foodstuffs and this and that before Christmas. Because if they buy these things before Christmas, what actually happens is that they have the thing is cheaper. Okay, because when it comes to Christmas, chicken will be selling for like 35,000 naira. But if you're buying like 2 months before Christmas, you can probably buy it like 20,000 naira. You get, so these are like patterns. And then producers price index, it's producers, all right, it's people that are producing the goods. When it gets to Christmas, they have particular behaviors which they exhibit. And these behaviors, all of them exhibit similar behaviors for December, and it's actually to show in the PPI data for the month of December. So that's why I got all the readings for the month of January, because January data is the data reading for the month of December. What happened in December? What the producers did in December? And checking everything, I saw the pattern. They were lower 70% of the time, and the other times when they were not actually lower, they were equal. And if the news comes out equal, what happens is if it comes out equal, the market doesn't move. If it comes out lower, it sells. If it comes out equal, the market doesn't move. But for the first time in 11 years, first time in 10 years, it came out higher. It broke that particular pattern. So what could have caused it to come out higher? Maybe something to do with the maybe the government shutdown, or tariffs. Either of these two, but I don't know the particular one. I don't know the particular one. I'm going to check to see the particular which could have influenced data to be different. The government shutdown could have made some of the data to be delayed, so probably they compressed it together today. Or the tariffs can actually make um The prices of goods. Shit, fuck. I'm coming. I didn't think of that when I was doing this thing. For the increase in prices of goods, of raw materials to be passed to through the producers to the consumers, which is PPI. It was tariffs that caused this thing. 2025 tariffs is basically when you increase you put increase the tax on imported things into the country. So once you put imported, let's assume the country, let's assume they import things like flour, they import things like rubber, they import things like nylon and stuff like that. So once you put like 50% import tax on these things, increase this thing, then that means the producers have to import these things from this country. So probably something they buy like 1 million naira, they're not paying like 1.4 million naira. So usually initially the producers would actually absorb the shock for a while. They get probably are trying to inventories, or they can't just increase their price like that, because they increase their price like that, their own competitors' own price will still be low. So therefore absorb the shock for a period of time. Then after that period, they will now increase it. So the effect of the tariffs was just passed on to the consumers recently, which was like last month. That's what you can see from 0.0 to 0.7. The last 10 months I checked for, I didn't experience. But these are actually the patterns that the market was a big Christmas and festive period. But I didn't actually account for, and that particular tariff actually created this effect, this increase in price. So that's basically it. We got the prediction wrong this time around, and we continue again next month. So for the live stream, I would make the live stream. We'll only be trading NFP on the live stream, and going to be in BT Academy. Okay, the live streams would only be for NFP. After we are done trading NFP for the month, we won't trade till next month again. So every first Friday of the month, we're going to be having NFP live trading stream. I use this period to explain what CPI was, to explain what PPI was, FOMC, and we did the whole analysis ourselves. I'm going to post recordings of all of them so you can take your time to watch them. I'm also going to compile them into a playlist so you can take your time to watch through them and you can understand how this works, how that probably you can even use the idea of how I made my predictions to also make your own future predictions and stuff like that. But from next month, it's only going to be the first Friday of the month. I'm going to do NFP. After that, to the next month. But if you want to be having access to continuous fundamental news live trading sessions like this month we had eight. Out of the eight, four of them we did on YouTube, and the remaining four we did it on like up to seven. We're having up to seven news. Out of those seven news, we'll trade just one on YouTube. The remaining six, we trade the remaining six on Zoom in BT Academy. So if you know you love this live stream, you want to be having this live stream, just reach out to me on Instagram. This is my Instagram handle. This is my Instagram handle. Reach out to me on Instagram and indicate your interest in joining BT Academy, and I'll get you started. All right, start on any of the live news truly we're going to be having next month. Okay, so that's basically it's one last thing before I close. All right, one last thing before I close. Look at how data actually is, right? This is how data actually is. Like I said, there's Christmas, and the market always behaves a certain way during Christmas. Everybody knows that during Christmas things is expensive in Nigeria. So imagine you now enter Christmas all right, and you're expecting things to be expensive, and then suddenly things were cheaper. Something that has not happened before in 10 years. Do you understand? That always happened. And then why was it like that? Because of the government was imposing tariffs on a lot of persons, a lot of countries, you this, that. So that naturally disrupted the space, and then now it now affected the movie. So I checked for the last 10 years. I but when I was doing my whole back test and everything, I didn't account for the effect of tariffs. I didn't account for the effect of tariffs. So when this one now came out, I was not like, what could have made this thing higher? But and I level there was tariffs, and the tariffs were like over, like almost everybody were eating out of the tariffs. So it's part of those things. You don't get all of them right, and the most important thing is that once you get it wrong, you know the reason why you got it wrong, so you can learn from it. That's going to be all for now. NFP is going to be next week. We treat it here, all of us. Thank you very much for joining, and see you guys on the next live stream. Have a lovely and fantastic day. Bye.